Engineer Abdullah.
Well, Dr. Ahmed, first of all, thank you so much for such a great presentation, and information has been given to our audience. We really appreciate that. So we will actually go for a Q&A, fast Q&A for our audience before we go in for the other section. So our great audience, if any questions you have, you can ask Dr. Ahmed.
Thank you, Engineer Abdullah. Yeah, feel free, everyone, to ask any questions you have. Even general questions, specific questions, any thoughts?
Mr. Ahmed, thank you for your lecture. It was very interesting.
Thank you.
It's not a question. Just I'd like to thank you because nowadays here we are in Saudi Arabia. We have a campaign from hackers, and we heard a lot of incidents. People have been stolen in their bank account. So we would like, it is very wide.
Getting serious.
Yeah, very serious. And I'd like to repeat attending some of these topics. If you have any suggested solutions, and it will be great in this lecture, okay, to end up with the solutions and series of lectures. So inshallah, I'm interested to attend such topics, inshallah.
Thank you, Mr. Rahman. Inshallah, we can talk about it. But thank you for sharing your thoughts. This confirms we all hear about it, right? Cybersecurity, hack, bank account. The most important thing is user awareness. We have to be aware that hackers do this, because many people, especially the older generation, they don't realize, clicking a link, so what if I click something? It's not a big deal. But actually, this click can download on your phone virus, and it can steal the password, username for your bank application, bank app, copy it, and then they take it and do something with it. And you wake up one day, the bank account is hacked, money's gone.
So, Mr. Ahmed, do you think from your experience there is a recommendation for the users to use a specific systems such as Apple or other operating system, or we can protect ourselves even we don't have Apple?
So, very good question, Mr. Ayman. The Apple is more secure from an outside hack. Outside, meaning, if you don't do anything wrong with the phone, someone wants to hack your hardware or software, it's difficult. Yeah. But it does not prevent social engineering, which is the tricking user part. If you still click on an Apple, it's the same damage like Android.
Okay.
Because when you click, you do it as the user. You are the administrator of the phone, of the device. So the phone doesn't know this is the wrong virus or right virus. It's just a robot, small robot. So when you click, it's now our responsibility as the person. And that's why hackers focus on people more. In the past, maybe, when the internet was first introduced and the first few years until 2005, 6, 7, security was very weak on the internet. So for hackers, it was easier to hack the system, the website or system, it was easy. But as technology evolved, and we have solutions now like antivirus, anti-malware, firewall, we'll talk about some of these. It's becoming harder to hack the technology and easier to hack the person, the human, by tricking them.
So I think, Mr. Ahmed, what I understand from your lecture that everything artificial intelligence come inside except the security itself. Security should be by the human awareness. Otherwise, anything can be hacked, right?
That is correct. That is correct, Mr. It's both. So human and technology.
Yes.
But now the technology is strong in terms of security. The weak part is the human. So hackers focus on the human now.
Right.
You see what I mean? I'll give an example. So when I started actually my PhD in Canada about 10 years ago, I was doing some cybersecurity courses actually, and I did research on mobile apps. Smartphone was new, and there were mobile apps, every day being released on Google Play and Apple Store. And what the research showed was over 50 or 60% of the mobile apps collect your data in the background and they send it to servers and emails, and we don't know. And it is perfectly legal. Do you know why, Mr.
No.
I was surprised myself because no one reads. You know, when you install an app, you have many different conditions, click, accept. You are actually giving the app your approval to copy your data, take your data, see your data, update your data, check other apps, get hardware information about your phone, everything. We all give them approval ourselves.
Yes.
So many apps hackers actually create, and it's a legitimate app. It's on the store, and you give it approval. Me and you and everyone else.
Yes.
It's not illegal in that case. You see the trick?
Yes, I see. Thank you.
So
Thank you.
My pleasure. Thank you. Excellent question, Mr. N. So
Thank you.
what do we do then? That's the question. We should all download a reliable antivirus and anti-malware on our phone and laptops and any device. Some examples I'll give. There's Norton and Kaspersky. They're some of the best antivirus.
Yeah.
And run them on a regular basis, just to make sure that as much as possible, we're protected. And of course, it's good practice to remove any app we don't really use or we feel is suspicious. A lot of, for example, you know, the games like Candy Crush and all these things, free, anything free, it has some code doing something in the background.
Yeah, of course.
Always. You know.
Okay. Hello, Mr. Ahmed.
Yes, Mr. Muhammad.
Hello, thank you for your information. I just have 2 questions.
Of course, please go ahead.
Okay, how can we, as the simple users, how can we differentiate between links? This is a hacker and this is a not hacker. Okay.
Very good question. Yeah.
Okay, the second question is the apps like Number Book. I guess Number Book app. He took information from your mobile list, I guess phone list or something. Because if you are if you don't know the numbers, he give you the suggestions, I guess, from the others mobile phone numbers. Is it like a threat for our phone, the Number Book app, or not? And we have some applications that we use in watching football matches, like Yasin. It's not approved from Google Play. Okay, but we use it a lot in our phone. Is it also a threat or not or something? Thanks.
Thank you, Mr. Muhammad. Very good questions. So the first question is, how do we differentiate between a regular link or suspicious link?
Yes.
So there is no easy answer, but the idea is practice, meaning, first of all, we should be aware. So you should, you know, any email you get that's different or from a source that you don't know, you should double check, right? Read it once or twice, check, you know, is this email from a company or someone sent me before or not? If the attachment has .exe, for example, .exe files are very dangerous. Usually they're a virus. So we don't download those. That's, for example, you can tell. And then anyone asking for information that should be private information on email is dangerous. So if someone says, please click here to activate your account and log in and provide your, you know, credit card number, no, this looks dangerous. And if we suspect something, we should download a good antivirus, even get a paid one. It's better than free, of course, a paid antivirus, and run it on your system. So phones and laptops, right? So that's mainly the best way. Now, the second part of your question, Mr. Muhammad, is what about these apps, you know, the phone app for numbers and games? The app that takes phone numbers and gives you the names, and this is actually, it collects everything we have on our phone, and especially contacts, messages, numbers, names. and it puts it in the cloud in the database, and it's stored forever.
Yes.
Forever. So, but they tell you this service, you know, they're taking your data and giving you the data he has. So it's like a trade. But
Yes.
other apps, the hackers and others, they could be downloading virus or something in the background and you don't know, and it's monitoring your phone, taking screenshots when you type your password and all this. So one of the best practices, of course, is to have antivirus, anti-malware on your phone. One of the best practices is try not to have a lot of these apps on the phone you use for banking, etc. Right? So personally, what I try to do is, if I need banking, for example, use the app for the bank, not from the phone, or I prefer to use my home computer. So I have a desktop computer. I have antivirus strong. I put the firewall. We'll talk about this today. It's more secure for me personally. And the phone I use for other things, right? Another best practice is never save your passwords on a file in a computer, right? So on your phone, don't save a contact that says, HSBC bank PIN, or a text document that says bank username, bank password, and it has the name and password. We shouldn't do this. So what should we do? You can encrypt, not encrypt, but write a hint so you remember the password, but the hacker doesn't know. Do you get the idea? So for example, let's say the password is my date of birth. And of course, this is a terrible password. No one should use that because it's the first thing hackers do. But let's say it's my date of birth. I don't write, October the 25, this is my date of birth as password in a text. But I can say, for example, that password is the same like last year. So I remember this means last year it was also my birthday. So yeah, the password for this bank was my date of birth. You give yourself a hint, right? That's a best way to store your password, if that makes sense. Or for example, if the password is your son's name, you don't write, Mustafa as a password. Now you can write, my son. And a hacker will look at, he'll think son, he'll type my son, the password doesn't work, but you know what it means. So that's just an example of how we can save our passwords. Excellent question. Thank you, Usman.
Okay, thanks. Thanks for
Thank you.
information.
Any other questions before we proceed?
Hello, Mr. Ahmed. Dr.
Yes,
Ahmed.
Mr. Abdulaziz, hello.
Thank you for all information. Just I want to discuss with some people will say you should be put only one password for all your application to unforget your password. For example, here in case A, we have like Dokana, and we have Abshir, and we have like account bank. And do you think this habit is good or bad? To put
Bad.
only one password.
Bad.
Yeah.
Excellent question, Mr. Abdulaziz. So thank you for asking.
More people do the same thing.
That's very bad practice. Very bad.
Yeah.
But there is a solution. So because many people, especially if someone is not very familiar with technology, or they don't like technology, or they don't want to memorize 75 different passwords, they want to use the same one. The problem is if the hacker gets one, he can access everything you have. And that's very dangerous. So what's the solution? And this is something I actually advise my mother also, because she wants one password. It's easy to remember. I don't want a headache and use that.
Yeah.
So my suggestion to my mother was, no, you can use the password. Let's say password again is date of birth. It's terrible password. Please don't use it. But let's say this is the example. What I would do, in one website, you can use your date of birth, like January 1st, 2000. Next password, you reverse it. So it's the same number, so you don't forget, but you play in the order. Play in the order. So the next password could be, instead of January 1, 2000, it could be 2001 January, right? Password after this, it could be 1 January, 2000 January. So you move the 3 parts together, but it's always those 3, so you can remember it somehow. You don't forget. Same thing, for example, so I create complex passwords for myself. It's a combination, and I always use the same combination. So for example, it could be a name and the year, and I just changed the year, right? It's not difficult to remember, but it's not the same password. Or change the month, right? So my password for email this month could be, November 2023. Next month, December 2023, 22, for example. So if you use some rules like this, it will help you remember. But completely different passwords can be difficult to track, right? So I hope that answers the question. Perfect. Thank you, Mr. Abdulaziz. Any other thoughts or questions before we proceed?
Thank you, Dr. Ahmed.
Thank you very much, Mr. Abdulaziz. Okay, so I guess we can continue. So back to the slides. We'll give an example now of one very popular type of cyber attack that happened in the oil industry.